Welcome to the GreatBase Tennis Podcast. I'm Steve Smith. At the table, we have Tim Ross, visiting coach from Philadelphia, co-host with the most, Dave Anderson from Dallas. And our guest today is Max Fomine. Welcome, everybody.
How's it going? Glad to be here.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Max, let's start with your journey in tennis. I met you when you were 11 in Toronto. Moldova, you don't meet too many people from Moldova. Take us back to the beginning.
Well, I started playing when I was 8 in Tiraspol. Now it's Pridnestrovia. It used to be Moldova. It got separated when I left. We flew, actually, we were flying to Cuba. The plane stopped in Newfoundland to refuel. And we knew it was going to stop there, and we got off. And that's how we immigrated to Canada. To continue, our journey to play tennis and to have a better life. At age of 18, we had to go to the army, and my dad didn't want to, so he was trying to get out of the country any way we can to have me and my brother safe.
What's your recollections at age 11? What was it like in Moldova when you left?
Well, it was a simple life. We didn't have much. We just had 4 tennis courts there. It was sand in the park, and the Moldovan Tennis Federation paid. It was free, and that's how I started. And then my dad, was working a little bit. He also played tennis. He helped me a lot. Thanks to him, that's where I'm at. He was working with me, and then other coaches in Moldova. They actually, half of the coaches from Moldova immigrated to Canada. If you know Valan Tennis Academy, Valery Anatolievich Igolnik, he's actually in Toronto. He's from Moldova as well. He was the head coach of Moldova.
For our listeners on our course, Tennis Intelligence Applied, don't try this at home, but Artyom Pogaimi, mispronouncing his name, but he spent a lot of time he's jumping over the net like a pogo stick. But his mother and his father both world-class athletes, and he could have really, really been good. But unfortunately, we met him when he was 20, and he had very, very poor technique, but he was from Moldova. Again, you don't meet that many people from Moldova. How many languages do you speak?
I can speak 4 or 5. Understand a little bit more. Russian, English is the main, Ukrainian, Polish, Yugoslavian.
Did you pick up profanity anywhere along the line?
All the bad words. I know all the bad words in all the languages.
But I just remember you as a young kid, you and your dad at the Richmond Hill Country Club. Early in the morning, I'd be there, and you guys would be there. I'd be there really late at night, and I was leaving, and you guys were staying. You guys spent a lot of time hitting balls.
Yeah, we were fortunate enough to have that because in Canada, as you know, we don't have good weather. You need to have tennis courts to improve. Indoors are very expensive, and Richmond Hill Tennis Club actually helped us a lot. They gave us courts, plus my dad worked there for Richard. That's how, I stayed there all day if we could.
But with your junior career, you didn't have the right paperwork to play nationals, correct?
Yes, because we immigrated to Canada. By the time we got the refugee status, like I said, we got off the plane. The route was going to Cuba, but we got off in Newfoundland. And I remember it was 1991, New Year's almost. We stayed at the airport for a couple of days until the immigration came. And so they, the people, when the immigration came, they asked us where you wanted to go. We chose Toronto. So we went to Toronto. Some people went to Montreal. Some people went to some other cities, but we went to Toronto because we were in touch with also Peter Svoboda. So when we were going to Toronto, Peter Svoboda took us in. But yeah, we didn't have the paperwork. We didn't have papers, so I couldn't play nationals. I couldn't do anything. I just played those the lower level tournaments and played the men's open. By the time the refugee status came in and then the landed immigrant, I was past 18.
But you went to Mississippi State, played for Andy Jackson?
Yes. So what happened was when they graduated, I had trying to play 1 year as a pro, but I still didn't have any papers, so I couldn't even travel. I just tried to play all those futures in Canada. Pierre Lamache took us in under his wing. All thanks to him, I went to Mississippi State. All thanks to him, this is where I'm at as well. Like Pierre Lamarche coached me all the way through. He mentored me, and I mean, we still kept in touch. He's like a family to me. Because of him, I went to Mississippi State, and I played for Andy Jackson and then Sylvain Guichard. So Sylvain Guichard stayed there all the way through my tennis career as well. And now he's works for the USTA in Orlando.
It's been 100 years since I talked to Pierre Lamarche, but he had a very successful program in London, Ontario, All-Canadian Tennis Academy. He's still going strong. He's in his 80s, right?
Yeah. I love it.
That's good. Your coaching background, certainly I know so many things working with Bryan Brothers. Miran Mann, who's from the Richmond Hill Country Club, several years younger than you. Every time we watch Amanda Anisimova, I know I'm mispronouncing that, but she hits the ball so well. But tell us a little bit how you transferred, or you went from being a college player to being a coach.
Okay, so coming out of college, I got a job with Billy Stearns and Stan Smith at Smith and Stearns Tennis Academy in Sea Pines, Hilton Head.
Yeah.
Back then, we had some great coaches there, like Jonathan Stokey from Duke. They have a couple other guys, and we were all there. And Billy was my mentor. So I was working as a hitting partner, as a coach, as a traveling coach there for a couple of years. And at that time, Jesse Pagula was there. For those 2 years that I was there, I was hitting with Jesse every single morning, I think 2 to 3 hours. And Billy would explain everything that I need to know to be the best coach, to become a great coach, because I didn't know anything. I came out of Mississippi State, didn't know how to coach. So he was the one that actually put in some sense into me, and I started off coaching. So after those 2 years, I moved back to Starkville, Mississippi, and I was the women's assistant tennis coach, coaching the girls, for 5 years. For 5 years until 2010, and then 2010 moving to Miami, and then after moving to Miami, that's where all the professional experience, coaching professional players experience came in, because I had connection with Ukrainian Federation, and I had also Angelina Kalina come in and stay at our place. She played the 14s, I think the 14 beat her and made the finals. She had a match point, twisting her ankle, hitting an overhead. It was a bad call. She would have won her there, but she twisted her ankle, I think, and she was out. She lost that in finals. And then later on, look at her. She's, top 30? She was top 30 WTA.
Oh, that's great.
And then I tell you how I met Bob. So when I moved to Miami, how everybody struggles when they begin at the new place.
Right.
So I decided to go into a tennis pro shop, local tennis pro shop, to start my network. So I started my networking through the tennis pro shop, knowing all the players, all the coaches that around the area. And Bob comes in to string his racket. So that was it. We hit it off. In 2010, Bob and I got very close. He's actually the godfather of my daughter. And I helped him all the way through while Mikey was in California. Now he moved to Florida, but he's on the other side. He's at I think Tampa, somewhere there.
Yeah.
But that was the start. That's how also I met Amanda. When late Constantine came in to buy her tennis shoes, and we started talking. From there, he asked me to hit. So I hit with Amanda a couple of times, and we kind of hit it off as well.
It's tragic. He died at 52 of a heart attack. He was so young, huh?
Yeah.
I would certainly ask about her father in that relationship. But Billy Stearns at one time was based in a facility in Sarasota, nice club, hard courts, clay courts, and there's many, many tournaments. And I used to be there for so many tournaments. I used to watch him work his players out. Talk about passionate and intense. I mean, he worked so hard with his players. Amazing. The Bryan brothers, how much, let's get into that. How much did you travel with him, coached him?
No traveling, because, they had Dave McPherson, Macker, was their traveling coach. I was the coach, local coach. So when Bob was back home, which he was often because Michelle Bryan was pregnant with their first child, Michaela. So when we met, I think it was preseason. So I got him ready for the preseason. Michaela, I think, was born somewhere in December. And then they went to Australia, and then every time he was in Miami, I would work with him constantly. So we had a chance to work when Maka was there as well. We would go to Miami Open at Del Rey, because I also had my clients here, in Miami. I couldn't travel, so I couldn't leave. Also, my wife, which she was going to Miami-Dade College, she was in college, so she didn't have any driver's license. So it's so on and so on. So it's like, so we only work locally.
Dave, go ahead. Ask a question.
Well, Max, I mean, you had a fascinating path through your career so far, and I'm sure it's going to continue. What are your biggest takeaways from your father and your time that you spent in Toronto at Richmond Hills, his coaching, and maybe the coaching that you remember around the program in the academy there?
Well, nothing is free in this world. You have to work for it. That's what my dad kept telling me. Nothing's free. You have to earn it. Putting the work day in, day out. That was the big thing. I had to do it because I wasn't talented. You had to go out. You had to wake up early. You had to go run. You had to do this. In order to improve. Plus, we didn't have financial support. I was actually cleaning buildings, working at the gas station there and so on, illegally. Hopefully, nobody finds out. But you had to. I had to pay for tournaments. I had to, travel to Montreal, come back to play any tournament that were there later. But in all the academies that you develop as a player. Then once you stop playing, you develop as a coach. Every day is a new thing. Every day you're learning something new. So it's like an ongoing process. You learn something from someone and you keep on going. It's hard work. It's working, work after work after work. So you always want to analyze, what you learned, and then how can you improve a player after what you have learned. You can't just tell him, hey, I learned this, let's do this. If he's not talented, or if he's talented, then you plug it into him, you might ruin him. You have to really be careful on what you tell the other, what you tell your players, your students every single day. But working hard, you can tell them that every day. Nothing is free. Just keep on working. That's it.
That's great advice. Go ahead, Tim. Question.
Hey, Max. It's great to see Anisimova bounce back against Swiatek in the U.S. Open after losing to her at Wimbledon. What do you think the key was there?
Well, so let me tell you what happened at Wimbledon, okay? If she had Swiatek before the finals, she would have had her. I didn't like what the media was asking her, and then me knowing Amanda, her facial expressions every time they asked the same question over and over again. I'm not going to even go into that. That kind of was not nice. She would have had her if the media was not onto her on one specific question. That's why she beat Sabalenka and lost to Iga. And the same thing happened at Australian Open fourth round when they traveled in 2019. So she beat Sabalenka pretty easily in third round. And then the media starts going on, how young she is, blah, 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 blah. And then she gets tight playing Kvitova when she beat Kvitova at the Indian Wells. It was her first appearance at Indian Wells. It was a couple of years before that, in 2017. It's just Amanda is super strong, but she gets sidetracked sometimes by these people. So coming back and beating her at the U.S. Open, I think so. She knew what's coming, and she handled it very well. So she handled the media and everything, and she's going to keep improving in that part of her career.
The ball striking is so clean. One thing I wanted to ask is the family dynamics. I read where the sister, she also was a player, played at UPenn, but 13 years older. And just, being Joe Public, listening to the media, it seems like a very, very close family. What are your thoughts on the older sister and her role in the whole thing?
She played a big role, of course. They Olga and Konstantin had Maria, training as well, trying to become a professional. And then, Amanda, when she was 2, Olga would sit balls while Maria was practicing. And then Amanda would look up to Maria, all the way through. It's just Maria, decided to go to college because she's super smart. She's super talented in tennis as well, but decided to go that route. They're very close sisters. She plays a big impact.
Ball striking. Go ahead, Dave. We'll come back to that. But what question do you have for Max?
I know that you've worked with many different players of all levels. Can you give a little rundown of your time frame that you did spend with her and what your specific role was with Anisimova?
Well, 2010 we met. We hit, once or twice a week because they were financially, they didn't have the money. So 2010, 2011, I think by 2012, the stars were aligned. We talked it over where I would find time to take Amanda, start working with her, because I saw something and they saw something in me as well. So it's just like there was a lot of coaches under Amanda, but the main coaches was Konstantin, Olga, me, Richard, it's also Richard Ashby at the USTA. He helped a lot. But my role was, in the beginning was like a hitting partner first. Then I became more closer. We became more closer. I became her coach, and then so on and so on. So my role was when I saw Amanda play the first, it's like I suggested, Amanda trying to win points within 3 shots to develop the racket acceleration, to develop speed with the racket, trying to step in and take the balls early. And then going into that, I wanted to also have Amanda grow on my speed. So if I'm hitting the ball hard, I want her to maintain the speed and improve on it. So maintain it, get used to it, and hit harder. So that was the biggest thing that we did when she was young. Like I said, her coach was her mom was the coach, dad, me. There's a lot of there's a couple other coaches that helped a lot, but I seen Amanda the most, dad seen Amanda the most, and mom. So 3 of us.
Oh, that's amazing. Backing up, what are your thoughts on, for young listeners, I should say young coaches listening, college tennis? Tell us your take on being a college coach.
For advice for the other coaches, you have to pick. You really need to pick what you want the player to understand. So the player needs to go into your head as well and understand what you're thinking in order to improve the player. Coaches are like books. There's different books. You have the good ones, the bad ones. There's the great ones. The reader is the player. So the player reads the book and tries to do what the book is telling them. It's just like the coach. So you have to pick what you want the player to understand what you want them to do. So with Amanda, she understood the goals that I set for her. And she understood that this is going to be the future. There's some coaches, they're like, okay, you need to be consistent, blah, 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 hit crosscourt. No, 50 balls. Amanda, what she wants, she liked, and she actually got very good at is trying to finish the point within 3 shots. So not many coaches can do that. Not many players can do that because it's super hard to even explain. Hey, hit three balls and you win the point. It's like impossible. The stars, like I tell you, the stars were aligned. We were lucky. We communicated. We trusted each other, and we went on and so on. So if the player trusts the coach, anything can happen.
No, I love how you explain that. That's great input. Go ahead, Tim.
Max, just staying on Anisimova. I know she took some time off a few years ago, I think mostly for mental. Just curious, were you working with her at that time, and was she playing?
No. We Amanda and I don't keep in touch. We send each other messages. I speak only to the mom. I don't like in the past. I don't speak to players about anything, rather than tennis. So Amanda and I, we had strictly business relationship where she understands. So I'm not a friend. I'm the coach. Right after she finished playing, we could have been, we could be friends, but, I try to I speak to the parents. You understand? I haven't worked with Amanda since after we finished, in 2019. We saw each other, but that's it.
Well, Max, I live in Dallas. It's becoming a big city quick. Years ago, I remember talking to Steve, and this is really just about the cultures of coaching, in particular with junior tennis. And I remember telling Steve that I thought Dallas was emerging into kind of the South Florida mentality where there's just people teaching everywhere and at parks, at homeowners associations, in addition to all the clubs and academies. But what are your thoughts on the culture in South Florida and people being able to stay the course long enough to really reap the benefits of a coach's plan, like you had mentioned, finishing in 3 balls? Because in junior tennis, it seems that staying the course for any length of time is becoming very difficult for people.
Well, you want the truth, or you want me to tell you?
We'll go with the truth.
Well, I think South Florida is all it's fake. There's a lot of coaches that coach, keeping the ball in play, blah 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 blah. There's fake coaches, there's fake parents, fake players. That tell you what you want to hear. They don't want to work, or they make excuses. And this is South Florida. As you see, even at tournaments here, there's fights every day. There's parents going after, the referees. It's tough here. It's very tough. Back then, when Amanda was playing, she didn't care about anything. She didn't care. Who she's playing, she goes out there and plays and just blast everybody off the court. And the other player or the coach or the referee had no chances to even come close to her. So that's why it was not an issue like now. There's the big issues right now, or line calls, or this or that. Amanda, back then, was just win 0-0, 1-1, 2-2, or something like that. So there was not even, the matches were not even close to get into the argument. And South Florida, I think, is the biggest argument, all of this, fakeness out there. You have the best coaches are here, the best players are here, everybody's playing so many tournaments, trying to get the UTR up. They're missing their goals just to win one match. They're not like, I don't see big improvement. I hope Dallas has a little bit more, down to earth people, that think about the future, think about the development. That's it.
Oh, that's a great answer as well, Max. Let me ask you, backing up, I've always been intrigued by how well Jessica Pegula hits the ball. I have to shout out to a fellow upstate New Yorker. I'm from upstate New York, but obviously you spent a lot of time with her as well. Where did that solid base come from?
Well, I didn't work with Jessie. I was hitting in Billy's lessons. I was a hitting partner, but Billy has given her the best foundation. So, in my opinion, you have like a ladder. Okay, so you focus on technique first. You focus on technique, then you're focusing on consistency. Then you're focusing on footwork. Then consistency and footwork come putting this together, and then playing matches. So it's what's first: technique, consistency on the hitting with that technique. Then footwork. It means you need to have the technique, the footwork, and the consistency. Put all of it together, and play matches. So I think Jessie got those the technique, the consistency, and the footwork from Billy Stearns. That's what I think. I was just a hitting partner, and I was learning how to coach, and I saw a lot of great things there. That's what. And then after she moved to Florida, I think she was pro world there with someone after that, and they took over.
Yeah, I mean, great player, top 5 player in the world. How about Bobby Bryan? I was told by Matt Clora, a UTA coach, that he's doing quite well. Are you in the loop with Bobby Bryan?
Bobby Jr.?
Yeah.
Or Bob? But Junior? No. They live a little bit too far away. for me to work with Bobby and Michaela and then Richie. But I would love to help them out. We always talk. I'm always interested how the kids are doing. I see them at tournaments. We keep in touch.
Oh, that was a fantastic speech for the brothers at Great for Tennis from the Hall of Fame. That was just super.
Oh, yeah, they're the best. They're the best. Such a quality, people, Bob and Mike and the whole family. They're the best.
Yeah,
I can't thank them enough. It's what they did for tennis.
Classy, classy, classy. What do you got, Dave?
Well, I was going to ask you, Max, about how, before we got on air here, you mentioned you drive from Miami to Boca, and give me a look at what your day looks like. Are you working just with several players individually, or are you?
I actually start my day at 5 a.m. I start my day at 5 a.m. because there's a few players that go to school. So I have them, I work with them till they go to school. So 5:30, I get on the court until like 12. I go home to have a quick lunch, maybe go to the gym. And then I go from 1:30 till, for 1 hour, 1:30 till 2:30 at one place in Boca, and then from 3 to 6, another place. And then now I'm driving back to have another lesson, 7 to 8 or 7:30 to 8:30. That's my day, it looks like. And then I come home.
You take a day
You're
off?
that kind of guy.
Yeah, grinding.
Do you take a day off or no? Keep going.
My days off are tournaments. I love my play. I love to see my players compete, watch them play. That's my day off. I bring my family if it's not that early, and I spend a day watching them play, and then go to a restaurant, just relaxing with my family. That's my day off.
Nice.
Actually, my whole summer was off because it was a weird summer. A lot of players left. I wasn't busy that much. Wasn't working.
That's a sign of passion when your day off is going to tournaments. I love it, love it, love it, love it. Go ahead, Coach Tim.
Max, any advice you would give to former players just starting to get into coaching? Any advice to new coaches?
Yes. I love the enthusiasm that the players' enthusiasm. When they transition to be a coach, they sometimes miss the key component in the player that they're coaching, and they dwell on it. They dwell on one mistake for so long that mistake never improves. So you need to improve a player, but not tell him he's making that mistake that much. You understand? So if a kid it's a bad forehand, and you're trying to fix it, and you're talking about it, hey, the forehand. So it becomes, the player starts thinking he has a bad forehand because he's working on it so much. That I wouldn't do that. So I would be a little bit more, okay, we need to work on the forehand. We'll improve day by day, but don't take your time away on improving other things.
Great advice. Thanks, Max.
Max, let me ask you, being a native of Moldova, do you speak both Russian and Romanian?
No. I learned Romanian school, but never got into it. So when I moved to Canada, I had to learn English. And then I wished I learned French as well.
With some of these Russian players, you communicate with them in English or Russian, or both?
When I was in Canada, actually, I communicated everybody in Russian. So I was a hitting partner for Petrova, Bovina, there, Miskina. It's a lot of those old WTA players, that came to Toronto to play. I was their hitting partner, also hit with Jennifer Capriati and Elena Tokic, there, Chanda Rubin. But if she's Russian, I speak in Russian. If she's English, I speak in English. If she's Yugoslavian, I speak Yugoslavian. If she's Polish, I try to speak in Polish. So it's yeah.
Go ahead, Dave.
Max, we talk a lot about the sport of doubles on this podcast and your relationship with the Bryans. Doubles is becoming a dying part of the sport, unfortunately, with
Yes.
the lost art.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on it? And then have you had any conversation with Bob Ryan on it? And what are his thoughts?
Well, he always, Bob and Mike, I think they did so much for doubles. There's no other like them. They were actually not only doubles players, they were like actors. They tried to get the crowd. They tried to, do everything for people, while they were playing. Enjoyment, they were like shining when they were playing. Right now, I see players thinking to play doubles just, I think, to make money and not do extra. Like, just a little by little, you're right. Doubles is a dying sport, but why is it dying? It's just, you have to find out why. If you look at Bob and Mike, what they did, why can't the other teams do the same? It's like just copy the best. That's what I'm thinking. We never touched base. We never talked deeply into that, but that's what I'm thinking.
Oh, thanks, Max. Tell us about your time at Smith Stearns, being around Stan Smith. That must have been interesting.
Yeah, Stan's the man. Yeah, when I was there, actually, Ramsey Smith and I were playing a lot of ping pong at the house. While we were playing ping pong, I see Stan always stretching, and I'm like, Stan, what you doing? He's always stretching, and Margie there as well. Then while I was there, also. I was coaching Austin Smith. I was her hitting partner. There was a lot of girls there. Got to know them all. With one big happy family. I loved it there. It was my greatest experience in coaching. I learned a lot from them. Stan did so much. We played. I got him ready for his exhibitions. I think when he had to travel, we played a lot. We spoke about a lot of players. We were close.
Oh, that's great. So do you wear Stan Smith shoes?
No, I wear the Bryan Brothers shoes. The ones that they came up with.
Oh, that's a great story about the shoes. Now there's a book, I'm Not a Shoe.
I'm sure you have similar feelings to, I live in the trenches as well, as many of us do, and deal with pretty much junior tennis and junior tennis parents. Going back to when you were a kid playing, how would you say that parenting has changed in your years as a coach, and even going back into when you were a junior? What are your encounters now?
Well, I divide them into different categories. You have crazy parents, you have wealthy parents, you have calm parents, and then you have to juggle between all of them, and the player. Back then, when I was a player, I didn't notice that, so I was just playing. But when I started to coach, I started to see what I had to deal with, as a coach, deal with all these crazy parents. And I mean, I think coaches are, coaches have to do a lot of things in order to impress the parents. Way too much. I cannot take the word. What the coaches, how parents treating the coaches nowadays. There's a lot of parents that are like jumping from coach to coach to coach to coach. The loyalty, the trust is not there anymore. This is what the biggest part with Amanda is imagine 8 years. I think 8 was 2010, 9 years together. We were always together. We didn't have any arguments on tennis. We had different arguments, but tennis-wise, it was just, we were right on it. So when I played, I didn't notice the parents.
Max, great input. There's a website, I believe. I've seen copies, but I haven't gone to the website where like a Pete Sampras writes letter to his 12-year-old self. For our listeners, if you could turn the clock back, which we can't do, but if you were a freshman all over again, what advice would you give a young Max Fomine at Mississippi State your first year?
My first year at Mississippi State, you gotta commit. You gotta commit. You can use college to become a professional. That's what I tried to do. And my junior year was my most successful year. I actually my freshman year was great. My sophomore year, I had to change from a two-hander to a one-hander, and my junior year was my best year. I got ranked. I beat some big-time players. Just you gotta commit. You gotta be consistent. I'm committing and doing what you want to do. College is. I went to college to become professional. I didn't want a degree. It's like a secondary. So if you go to college to play tennis, you better commit. But if you go to college to get a degree, I mean, then it's hard. It's hard to commit, obviously. So you got to balance it out.
Oh, that's great input, commitment. Changing from a two-hander to a one-hander, why was that?
After my freshman year, I went, played some tournaments back in Canada. I was actually a hitting partner for Jennifer at Toronto. And for some reason, I could not hit one backhand. Every time she hits also my backhand, I would miss it. And then Dad asked me to let's go to US Open. I'm like, no, I have to go back to college. So I came and I told Solon Guichard, was the head coach back then. Andy Jackson left to UF. And Solon's like, let's make a decision now, what you want to do and change it. So we did. We changed it to one-hander, and the best thing we've done.
Oh, that's interesting. No, it's certainly great to hear you talk about tennis. Let's just wrap it up with a few more questions, Dave. Go ahead.
Yeah, Max, I'm just trying to put it. Did you, Mississippi State, they had an era where they had a lot of French players.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that in your era?
Yes. So we had Marco Baron. He played 1 year. Then you had Romain Lambert, played 2. René Charles Combat, played, I think, 3. Then you have David Ruiz, Jerome Lambert-Ricard, Matthew Soto. It was me, and then Louis Carvalho, where he's now works for the ATP, I think. And then Sylvain Guichard was their assistant. So imagine all those French players plus the coach. And then once Andy Jackson left to go to UF, we got assistant coach. So Sylvain Guichard became the head coach, and the assistant, Jeremy Bayon, he became the assistant. And we got more French players.
Yeah, I remember you guys you had a few really good doubles teams, and you had a lot of French players back then. That was you were there in the mid '90s.
2000
or 2000. Yeah, late '90s.
So yeah, we had 7 years was there. Then we had some Canadian players.
Yeah,
Mathieu Ballet. We had there's another one. Thomas Dupree was there as well, but he was not Canadian, he was French. So it was good. Some French connection.
The French connection, yeah.
Then Andy Jackson went to Florida, but he had quite a few French players at Florida, correct?
I don't remember if he had French players. He did maybe one, but not as many as we did.
How about the styles of the coaches? Do you think it varies from juniors to college to pros, or to personality?
Oh yeah, for sure. Every coach is different, so you have to learn different things from it. You try to pick out the best from every coach to be a good player. So that's what I did. They picked out the best, and then I tried to do what they asked me to do to the fullest.
Really talking about the player's name, the one you mentioned before you got on air. Let's just end it with that. What are you focusing with that player day to day? The whole package? Is it certain aspects of the player's game?
Yes. Right now I'm working with Quinn Summers. I have been working with her in the past, but they moved to Boca. So now she's actually goes in the mornings with Rick, and then goes in the afternoons with me. So what I'm doing is basically doing same thing what Rick is asking her to do. Right now we are working on stepping in, taking the balls early, staying down low, developing slice, polish, all those little holes that we got to touch up.
Oh, that's interesting. Let's wrap it up. I really appreciate it. I know some of you have a hard stop. We can certainly do this again sometime, but it just first comes through the telephone wire very clearly how passionate you are. But go ahead, Dave. Let's wrap it up. Go with the question.
Yeah, well, Max, I mean, I don't know if it's a question, but it's really just a comment. I love hearing your story, and I love people that get into becoming tennis coaches to actually coach. And because I think many people getting into the tennis profession, they try to get off the court, not on the court. And it's very clear that your passion is driven by player development. And so hats off to you, and tennis world needs a lot more like you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And Tim, any comments?
Just great hearing your advice and your perspective on things, Max. It's been a privilege, and I hope you have a great lesson tonight.
Yes, thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.
Max, it seems like yesterday, court 19 and 20. So of course the program was busy, but you guys sometimes were, you're starting your workouts at 10 p.m. I remember that vividly.
Yeah. That's what we had to do in order to survive. Now where everybody played, 4 hours, 2 hours, we had to jump on the court when it was available. And the Richmond Hill Country Club, they gave us the opportunity, big time. Very appreciative of what they did. What Richard did as well. He helped us, my dad and I, from beginning to the game.
Yeah, Max, our listeners referring to Richard Hernandez. And your dad, is he still coaching?
Yeah, he's actually now in Monaco coaching Monaco Country Club. He coaches a few adults, few kids there. He moved to Europe. He was here coaching with me in South Florida. But as you notice, you go to every park, there's a lot of coaches, a lot of players. So it was pretty tough for him, So he decided to move because his girlfriend, or his wife now, is French, Russian French.
No, our listeners, I ran into Max in February, and the person who was escorting me around told me that you basically have a waiting list for lessons. So just listen to you with your passion. I understand that very clearly. But I know you've got to run. Dave's got to run. Tim, Dave, Max, listeners, this has been fun. Love to do it again, and I'll look you up when I'm at the Battle of Boca.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for having me, guys. Enjoyed it.
Great.
Thank you.
All the best.
Great journey, great energy. All right, everybody. Thank you so much, Max.
Thanks, Max.
All right.
Listeners, good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.